Welcome to Om Times TV, a division of Om Times Media and Broadcasting. Welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa Caprio. Do you believe in magic? What if you were told that all you had to do was get a little creative and work a magic spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Here on Postcards to the Universe, we will share manifesting, tips, postcards, creativity, abundance, and prosperity. Here's your host, Melissa Caprio.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa, creating the life you crave. How is everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday. I have a really cool guest today. She is a quantum healing practitioner, Brheanna Myers, and she's going to join me in just a couple of minutes. Wow. Has the energy been super intense? Have you guys noticed? I mean, I've been following astrology. I'm learning about astrology, and this week and next week apparently are the two most intense energies. So if you've been feeling it, it's normal apparently. I mean, almost every planet is in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. So we are at a starting point. So a lot of things are shifting for a lot of people, and it's shifting for us globally too. It's wild to see what's happening. To my regulars, just want to big shout out. Thank you so much for listening to my show every week. I really appreciate you. I know a lot of you listen to the show and don't necessarily watch the show, but you can find me now on YouTube, on Postcards to the Universe on YouTube, and also on Om Times TV on YouTube. But if I can see the streaming downloads from the podcasting site. So I appreciate you joining each week. It means the world to me. And if you're new to my channel, I want to say welcome. I hope you like my show. I always have a guest. I love to have conversations with people who are doing really interesting things, who are doing alternative healing, who are psychic, who read cards, who are mediums, who are channelers. This is the realm that I am super interested in, and I love to bring people into conversation with me because I am so fascinated. I wrote a book, Postcards to the Universe. It's right over my head. You could see it. And it's all about manifesting. And next to them are the manifesting postcards I received. And I made a little oracle deck. So I pulled a card before today's show. So our affirmation, they're an affirmation oracle deck. So today's affirmation is discover your passion. So if you're watching this and you're listening right now, discover your passion this message is for you. Maybe you have been feeling like you haven't been doing anything that you're passionate about. And this is a reminder to go back to whatever it is that brings you passion. And I don't mean that in the sense that it has to be a career. I mean, if it is, that's great. It could be something that you used to do that just brought you so much joy. It raises your frequency, and that is something you're passionate about. And that's what I mean about discovering your passion. And if you don't know what your passion is, now's a great time to go out and try a whole bunch of different things and discover what that is, right? Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise the frequency of our planet. And I have been putting out videos like crazy on my YouTube channel. Everything is under Postcards to the Universe. I've been reading tarot cards. I've learned the tarot. Now I'm learning astrology. I do short videos, whatever's on my mind. I'm reading cards for the collective. I got a new deck, a Stranger Things, if you like Stranger Things. I got a Stranger Things tarot deck. So I started reading about worldly events because, of course, we're talking about the upside down world that we are currently living in. So that deck is perfect for that. But most of the time, the readings are about, you in the sense of, should you have a career change? Is it time to leave this relationship? Is it time for a move? Things in the collective that we're all thinking about. So if you go over to my YouTube, I would love it if you would subscribe, and you can check out all the videos there. All right, let me bring out my guest, Brheanna Myers. She is a quantum healing practitioner. She's an intuitive, and she's the founder of Light Breezy Coaching. After a near-death experience in 2020, her perception of consciousness and the quantum field profoundly shifted, and that experience became the foundation for her work today. Now, you can read her whole bio in the description, so I'm not going to read you the whole thing. I want to introduce Brheanna. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Melissa. I loved your intro. That was
Oh,
awesome.
thank you.
I too have the Stranger Things deck.
Do you? I love it. I love it so much.
I was giggling because I said the same thing. I used that for like world events because we're in the upside down. So I say that. So when you said that, I just started kind of giggling. I'm like, yep.
Yeah, because I have another tarot deck and it's beautiful and I don't use it for that. But when I got this deck, I'm like, okay, I got to read about what's going on in the world and just see what's coming up. And it's so relevant. It's so relevant. Yeah, and for people who love the show like me, they'll really appreciate it. So Brheanna, tell everybody a little bit about you and what happened to you that sort of shifted your whole life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've kind of been on the what we call awakening journey for a while, and I would say 2017 is where the illusion started to dismantle for me. I found that I was living a life that I didn't anticipate. I was not happy. I realized I was living for everyone else. So I'd kind of already been realizing that I was going somewhere else. And of course, I was always a conspiracy theorist because at the heart of it, I was not indoctrinatable. Like I was the kid they put in the other room because I just wouldn't go with their program. And so I always questioned things. I always wondered, like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And then in 2020, I ended up contracting fungal pneumonia from wearing masks during COVID.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that was a thing. I've had pneumonia before, but it was because I had a bad bronchial infection that turned into pneumonia, but I've never heard of fungal pneumonia. Wow.
Yep. So yeah, it was from breathing in the wet bacteria and then it ended up creating a fungus in my lungs. And I had gone to the hospital several times that week and they kept testing me for COVID. They'd send me home. They put me on antibiotics. They put me on steroids. Nothing was working. And I went to go to bed that night after the third time I was in the emergency room and I collapsed. And my now ex-husband ended up bringing me to the emergency room. I was admitted into the ICU. They were actually trying to fly me to a bigger hospital, but because it was COVID, everything was crazy.
Yeah.
So I ended up dying for 6 minutes was the total time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was life-changing. It was life-altering. I mean, I stepped out of my body, and this is the one thing a lot of people don't fully understand. Like, we have so much attachment in this world to even things like our physical body. Like, when I stepped out of my body, I was, like, looking at me over there and had zero attachment to this life, this avatar, this person. It's like getting out of your car and, like, you walk away from your car and not like, oh, no, put me back in. It just gets you from A to B. And so it was just, to me, I remember thinking like how strange the detachment was immediately. I kind of started to realize, I don't want to say I knew what was going on, but it started to kind of come like I was home, immediately that like loving feeling that people talk about, like it's so profound that it's just like, I'm like, if I could bottle this up, I would give it to
right. Well, I have heard that. I've heard that, and many people don't want to come back into their body because it's like a feeling that you can't explain. Yeah.
There's just no words for it. And so there was a messenger for me, and she is a young lady that is alive and well in this lifetime. But she is the daughter of a man that I knew in high school. I'm not like, she's not actively in my life. So I'm like sitting here staring at her like, what is she doing here? And she tells me at that time that I had made a soul contract to give myself what we call an exit clause. Where I could leave because I knew the life I was taking on was going to be incredibly difficult. I had a very, very, very dark childhood and very hard 20s, 30s. It was just really difficult life. And so she's basically explaining to me that I had, made this exit clause. And then I see this, I don't want to say tunnel light, because that's not what it is. It was like to me, it looked more like a hologram, like a sparkly, over in the corner. And I didn't consciously go to it. I just kind of went to it. And at that time, then I was put in this like vortex where sacred geometry and symbols, some I recognized, some I didn't, were being passed through my essence. So I realized in that moment, I had already made my decision, but I hadn't quite realized that I had. And so I was being upgraded, basically. And then these light beings, so there was no like person to it. It was just like these towers of light, but I recognized them. Like I knew these beings. And I remember them being really excited that I was there. And they're like, how is it? You know, and I've later realized, like, to the people that are still on the other side, or the souls on the other side that are supporting us and are helping us through this journey. And like you said in your intro, we're here to raise the vibration of the earth. We are here as volunteers to ascend the earth. But everyone that's there helping and guiding us are so curious and excited. So it reminded me of like going to an amusement park and you get off a ride and all your friends are like, how was it? You know, and you're like, it's amazing. That's what it that's exactly what it reminded me of.
I love
but
that.
anyway, so then I was shown, and this was where it got really profound for me, was I was shown. So at first it was kind of like an abyss, but all of a sudden, like everything that had ever happened to me was on this like dome. Every experience, every trauma, every heartbreak, every abandonment, everything, all the joy, the love, my kids, everything, every moment was on this screen type thing. And it showed me how everything was connected and that it was like intricately designed. And over on this side was like an image of me in that hospital bed. And I realized that like we are not separate from anything. It is all intricately woven and divinely guided. I mean, it's like the level of design, like I'm still like completely baffled by how intricate it is. And then I realized right then that everything that happened to me, even the most horrific things that happened, put me on the path. Now I can look back and be like, this is why. I mean, I was, you know, sexually assaulted, things like that. And I work heavily with female, well, not even just females, just people that have gone through those kind of events. I work with at-risk youth. But all of that, every little thing, like I was so, like history was such a thing for me, and religion. I studied it like just insanely. And I realized I was building my blocks for me to come into this, where I understood the falsifications and the illusion and, you know, the resets we've been through, and what they lied about, what they manipulated, all of it. And so I realized, I'm like realizing this all at that moment.
Yeah, because everything that's happening to you is like instantaneous.
Yeah,
it's not like time how here, like where you are like, yeah, it's like an instantaneous knowing, and you're getting this information from what I've heard from others who have had these experiences. Yeah,
that's exactly it. It's like, well, time is not linear like we were taught, you know? So yeah, this is all kind of like hitting me all in this like moment. But then the like screen all went dark. And then I saw another image come up. And so I'm thinking this is like my life reviews, because, you know, you've heard about that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It was everybody. It was the collective. And I was shown how everyone and everyone's experience is intricately designed and woven into this tapestry that there is no separation. And so I fully was able to embody that. You know, even you and I having this is a co-creation, and we've called each other into each other's realities because there's zero accidents. And I love that you're starting to study astrology. So I do a lot of astrology, and I'm like, I'm more of a determinist than anything through my experiences, that I don't think we have as much free will as we want to think we are. We're out here making decisions, because when I saw that intricacy of that design, we can't be out here just making decisions all willy-nilly, you know, for that level of intricacy. I believe there's more free will in when we came with our soul contract. Like we knew what we were going to do. We knew the experiences we were taking on. We knew where we were going to be born. We chose our family, chose what we were going to do. And now we are more of the observer. And so we are here to experience and to observe. Now, I always go back to that Matrix scene where he's talking to the Oracle at the park or on the bench, where she said, you didn't come here to or you didn't come here to make the decision. You've already made the decision. You're here to
Right.
understand why you made that decision. And that's exactly what this life is. So we're here to observe and transmute. And so that's what brought me into quantum healing. And I started to understand too that I think a lot of the weakness where we have in this field is that we're in the energy field, or we're in the mind, or we're in the body, but very few people study all three to bring them all together because they're not separate systems. They are intricately designed, just like what I see. And so, your nervous system is regulating, and if you don't feel safe, you are in low vibration. You can't raise your vibration in dysregulation. So I work with nervous system, and then subconscious patterns, which are just fueling all of your dysregulation. And then I work with the energy system, which is reflecting that all back to you. And so that's kind of how I got into this line of work.
Wow. Fascinating. Well, you were obviously meant to, or none of that would
yeah.
happen. Right. Like that's something that maybe like you said, we're choosing. And I understand what you mean about free will. Like, yes, we have free will, but I feel like if we're supposed to do something, we have free will in the sense that we may go in this direction, but we're going to come back to do it here, or we may do it from this direction to come back to do it from over here. But what we're meant to do is what we're meant to do. So our free will is maybe how we get back to what our purpose was. Like we came here for a purpose. And from what when I've talked to people who channel angels and spirit guides, I mean, like choosing Earth School is like not for the faint of heart. It is, we wanted to take this challenge on because it is the most dense, it is the most intense, the most painful. So we want our soul to grow so greatly that we picked a very hard place to do it, right?
And even this time. So
Yes,
is hard all in itself, but this time is like I always say, I'm like, if you're ever having a hard day, just remember you are a soul rock star, because you couldn't be here right now if you weren't, because only the most evolved souls have come down here at this time, because this is the most intense that the world has ever been. And I always, I'm like, when I'm having a bad day, I just remember, I'm like, okay, I'm a rock star in the astral plane.
I'm a rock star in the astral plane. I may borrow that. So tell people, because when you say quantum healing, like what is quantum healing? And I know you mentioned sacred geometry, and I don't know that much about it. I've only heard other people talk about it, but there's something about the certain geometry shapes are sacred and they mean something, and it has like a much greater meaning than what we can perceive. So if you can kind of give it to us in layman's terms for those of us that are not in the know,
So quantum energy or quantum healing is tapping into your higher planes of existence. So you in the physical body, this, how I kind of explain it to most people is like the Russian nesting doll. The doll within the doll within the doll.
Yep.
So the little inside doll is your physical body, but you have layers on top of that. So you've got your emotional body, your physical body, your mental body, astral body, cathartic body, casual body, and as they go up. And so as you're in coherence, let's say mind, heart coherence, your physical body, mental body, emotional body are all in alignment. So you don't have as much interference. So then when you get up into the higher ones, so like when I do astral surgery, I'm in more of the astral plane, and bringing in coherence into the physical. This also can be, I'm also a quantum healing hypnotist. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Dolores Cannon. So I work with QHHT. So it also is tapping into the subconscious. So that's why I said a lot of people think quantum is just energy, but when I do quantum healing hypnosis, I'm tapping into the deepest parts of your subconscious to pull that information forward, which helps me to find exactly where we're having stuck energy, stuck patterns. A lot of what I've been seeing in the last couple of years is ancestral karma coming up, where a lot of us came here to break generational cycles. So that's a big one that's been coming through. And then also people that are carrying vows that they took in past lives that they knew when they came at this time. So I don't know if you know much about soul contracts, but if you came here on Earth at this time, you basically volunteered. The reason why a lot of us decided, because we knew this was going to be very, very hard, was we are basically dumping a ton of karma off. So that's why a lot of us, before we go into our awakening, have very hard lives.
Yeah.
It's training you to be a leader in the next part of this, or to hold the frequency for many. But it's also, we are paying off a ton of karma. So we were like, okay, it's kind of like, getting a credit card, and they're like, you only have to pay 20% if you do this. All right. And that's the same thing, what we're doing here. We're just paying off a ton of karma. And so that's a big one that comes through, is what karmic cycles people are here taking on. I also do what's called light body activations. And this is where I do astral surgery. And I actually remove the devices that are brought here with you to keep you playing the game of separation, to keep you in doubt, to keep you feeling lost or disconnected from source or God. And so with that, there's 8 sessions that I do. And once you start, you can't stop this. It's because we actually remove your Nephilim, which makes you a target for people that still have their Nephilim. So the first
is that
thing
like a darker energy when you say Nephilim? Is that like make you more susceptible to attachments on you that you might not want?
It's not necessarily a dark energy. So we have something called the keepers of the human legacy. They are these little childlike sentient beings that live down in your sacral area. And so if you've ever been trying to make a decision and all of a sudden you get a pit in your stomach, that's them. They're telling you, no, don't move forward, because that's not safe, because we want to play the game of separation. That's what we came here to do. So they actually have a contract with you that is in your soul contract to keep you playing the game of separation, because that's what we want. We want to evolve and come back, right, to ourselves. And the same with the Nephilim. Now, the Nephilim resides on the back of the neck. And so as you ascend, a lot of people start feeling heaviness in the shoulders, because your light body is activating while this entity is trying to keep you in the 3D. So this is where a lot of people start getting shoulder pain and neck pain from the awakening. And then the third one is all of your etheric crystals. You have 27, give or take, crystals running through your mental body, and your back is a big one. I've noticed the last, I would say 10 or so I've been doing, everyone's back one is broken, because they have gone through so much in this life that crystal has taken, kind of like when you have a crystal that breaks.
Yeah.
Because it's absorbed so much energy. So yeah, people are ascending. And so what that tells me is that people are ascending at a rapid rate, and that their devices are not being able to keep up. So this is causing a lot of interference. So when you were saying you weren't feeling good today, I don't know if you follow the Schumann, or this week. Yes, the Aries placement is a big one, but if you look
the
here,
Schumann resonance. I've
so I study this a lot. This is today.
I've noticed it's been off the charts a lot lately.
And last week we had one where it spiked up 78%. So that's light frequencies coming in, and your device is trying to hold you down in the 3D. So this is where a lot of people are having that highs and lows, ups and downs. And then we also remove the devices. So those are specific for each person. Well, we do rods and plates too, but devices I want to talk about, because when we had past lives, we have a karmic device that is put into your subtle fields, depending on what it is. So I remove things like Atlantean visor helmets. So usually someone that was a part of a military in Atlantis would come with that, did something that they shouldn't have. Or Atlantean collar is usually a high priestess, someone that abused their power. We have etheric wing pins. That's usually someone that is more elemental based. So they might be here in the earth, but they're more often like a fae or fairy or angelic or mermaid. And then you get your wings pinned down to your back. So a lot of people that are elemental tend to have etheric wing pins, have a lot of spine problems. This is where you get the fusion problems, where you're getting, back fusions, things like that. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ones. So that's just a few examples. And then the Maldekian ones, which has anybody on your show talked about planet Maldek?
No.
So Maldek was a planet that we inhabited before the Earth School. And there was a world war. So this is why the atomic bombs are so frowned upon in like the Galactic Federation and things like that. And why we only blew those ones, because the Galactic Federation stepped in and was like, you guys can't do this because you
Yeah.
can't interfere with the other realities and
Right.
parallel.
Yeah, because there's
parallel
not
universe.
just humans here on this,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so this affects everybody. But where we know that is from the planet Maldek. So Maldek
Mm.
was a lot of like, I know you probably are from Maldek at one point, but if you have Atlantean past lives, you definitely came from Maldek, because Maldek was Atlantean descendants who came
Mm.
to Atlantis, and then Atlantis happened, so we did it twice. Where we destroyed that planet. That planet was obliterated, and Mars is a part of that planet. And
Mm.
then Atlantis came, and then there was a catastrophic event because
Yeah.
power, greed, and that's why a lot of us also are here right now, to stop what we've already seen so many
Happened
times
before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
That is so fascinating. So when we're making these choices to come into this life, do we know we're bringing in these things with us? Whatever,
mhm.
you were talking, like you were saying, if you're a high priestess over your throat, or like that. So we're choosing to bring that in there
Yep.
with us. Oh, okay. Okay.
It's kind of like what we had to pay to come in.
Got
So
it.
you pay a ticket, or you got to
Pay your
pay to
toll.
ride, right?
Right.
And so you have to play your karma out, and those devices, and that's why a lot of us brought in so many. So I usually remove, averages 8 to 12 on a person, but I've had as many as 17, 18 on someone, and I've had people that have only had 2 or 3.
Wow.
But most of us are about 8 to 12 that we brought in with us, because we knew that the frequency was going to rise, that we'd be able to
Mhm.
break the spell of illusion. So we were like, put them in, because we knew once we break them, we don't get them again. So that's why
Right.
so many of
So
us
it's
took
us
on.
working out our karma. Like we have to come in. Like we always see people doing bad things and we're like, oh, you're going to get your karma. But we never think about like ourselves. Like, well, what was I doing in a past life? I may be working
Mhm.
out some karma here right now. Right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
these things happening. It's funny how we can totally project it. But when we're looking at ourselves, we have a harder time. That's interesting. I want to talk more about that. But I'm looking at the clock. We're at the halftime mark. Let's take our commercial break here and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Fascinating conversation. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back in just a few.
Om Times TV, a division of Om Times Media and Broadcasting.
Do you have a dream that feels just out of reach? What if you could send a message to the universe and watch it come true? Hi, I'm Melissa Caprio, creator of the Postcards to the Universe project. For years, people from all over the world have sent me their dreams on a simple postcard, and I've seen incredible things happen. Postcards to the Universe, harness the universe's power and manifest your dreams, gives you the tools to create a life you love. Learn how to turn your biggest desires into a clear, powerful message the universe can hear. It's time to stop waiting and start creating. Discover your power to bring your dreams to life. This isn't just a book, it's an experience. Discover your purpose, unlock your potential, and manifest your wildest dreams. Find Postcards to the Universe by me, Melissa Caprio, wherever books are sold. Get your copy today. Start writing your story, one postcard at a time.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse, walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back. So Brheanna, I was thinking during the commercial break, like somebody is dealing with a lot of stuff. Like let's say they, have done the work, right? They think they've done all the shadow work. They had a really hard childhood. They figure it out. They know, one of their subconscious running things is I'm not good enough or nobody ever loves me. But they're still not able to get themselves out of energetically, like, they know all the right answers. They've read all the books. They've done all the programs. So you were talking about things that are stuck in certain parts of our frequency bodies outside. So how do you like work with a client? Like I come to you and I'm like, I've done everything I can and I'm still in pain. I'm still miserable. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So obviously I do consultations with everyone because your soul contract is so vastly different from everyone. What you brought in with you is going to be different. Some of us, we have like a one size fits all, right? So for example, the first thing I always would tell people if they want to do removals and things at their field, there's something called J seals or Jehovian seals. So Jehovian seals are implants that were implanted on the left side of us to keep us basically energetically blocked from reconnecting. If we didn't have these, we would basically be little Buddhas by the time we were 3, right? You would remember everything. So this keeps us forgetting, playing this forgetfulness. Then we also have what's called karma nuts. And so when you are incarnated, it runs through the umbilical cord of your mother. It runs into the back of your neck. And so it connects you back to ancestral karma. So most people have about 200, 250 karma nuts when they come in. But these get through very quickly, right? So you might do something just kind for a person, at a gas station that can release the karma nut. But most everybody has one giant big one. So with Jehovian seals, I always tell people, I'm like, these were implanted by the Anunnaki. So when they were messing around with our DNA, I don't know how much you guys as viewers know, but the Galactic Federation kicked the Anunnaki off of planet Earth because
I've heard about the Anunnaki, but I don't know that much about it, but I have heard about it. But go ahead.
Okay, so I'll give you kind of the shortened version, but they were 4 brothers and they were here and they got into a civil war and they were actually dropping atomic weapons. So when that happened, the Galactic Federation was like, you guys have to leave. So when they did that, they had already mutated our DNA to make us good slaves because we were mining gold for them. And in order to do that, they had to put the J seals in. This made us forget. This made us less connected to our higher self. So humans used to be much more advanced before the Young and Dryas period. We could do a whole thing on that. But Jehovian seals or death seals. There's the seal of Babel, and then the death seal is an interesting one. And I like to talk a lot about this with people that are in this reoccurring loop. So the death seal actually is what keeps us sick. It keeps us aging. If you look back at like the Emerald Tablets, there were four rulers that ruled for 275,000 years, right? Because mortality wasn't a thing until we got these seals put into our field. So I always tell people, like, first thing I would do if you want to like really start getting into quantum surgery, get your J seals removed. That alone makes a huge difference in people reconnecting to their higher self. They'll start to channel a little clearer. You also feel a lot lighter. So when I first went through my J seal removal, and then I also do DNA activation, I have a sequence of 8 different ones. So we return on your mitochondria DNA and we get everything. So junk DNA does not exist. All of our DNA is significant. It was just governed and kind of shut off by the Anunnaki.
Yeah, I heard there's a new, what do we have? 23 strands? Or is that what we were born with? 23? And like there's a new one coming online that we used to have that now is coming back online. I don't know. I heard this from somebody else talking about it. So, just kind of reminds me.
There's a lot of so we have golden DNA. We have an epigenetic DNA that's been shut off.
I think it was epigenetic. I think it was something in epigenetics. Yeah. That I heard.
And then we have our 12 strands. And then we have the 144,000. So there's multiple different strands and how you unlock them. But I usually do an 8 session series, but DNA you can do over and over, and the more you do it, the more results you'll get from it. But with Light Body, it's a one and done, right? Because once we remove those devices, I walk you through all the vows you took. So, for example, you came here, you had to take a bunch of vows. A lot of people like vows of silence, vows of poverty, all that, but there's much more. Like you take the vow to contain your keepers of the human legacy, for example. So with them, when we remove those guys, they actually get very, very sad because they're very childlike and they think that they're doing something wrong. So when we over, I have to talk to them like they're little kids. I'm like, you're not being abandoned. You've done such a good job. We're so grateful for everything you've done. And we really have to talk to them like they're little children because they're like panicking. And your viewers, you are all this very easy little exercise to do if you want to connect with your keepers, because they are doing you a favor. Like they're here to help you, even though it doesn't like it, because they're actually keeping you in limitation, but you can start working with them. So I tell people, like, place a hand down on your sacral chakra and say, I would like to talk to my keepers, and then you'll start to feel a little twiddle in there. They'll start to run around. Never been addressed before. And then just tell them, like, I love you. I appreciate all that you're doing for me. And then ask them if they want to stay or if they want to go. Oftentimes you can call in more advanced keepers, and a lot of people can do this themselves. You know, if you're ready to go, I will have, I can have Archangel Michael come escort you into the light, and then you can have the keeper's spiritual family bring in new ones, and then it helps you in your spiritual advancement. This is something you can do yourself.
Now, is this all the work that you learned through Dolores Cannon? Is this what she channeled, or a lot of it?
This I actually learned from, I work with a woman out of the Canary Islands. So the quantum stuff that I learned, like spiritual surgery, Acosma, Metatronia, and Metatrea light therapy, I worked with someone else. That's what I love about how crazy this world is. Because I remember coming out of my near-death experience, like, I don't know any of these people, because they told me I'd have all the support I need. And my major teachers were Dolores Cannon, which she's not in my neighborhood, right? A shaman out of Ireland. I worked with a woman in Brazil, and then this woman in the Canary Islands. And then I have very strong connections to people in Australia, all via this way. And so it's funny when you think of our limitations. Those limitations are very self-imposed. The universe will support you when you decide that you are ready to really move forward. But it's a lot of times it's that subconscious pattern. And that's what you said, where you can do all the work, you can read the books, you can understand, but if you're not repatterning the subconscious from past lives, pulling all that together. So it's really the mind, body, and soul. And this is not a separate system. So the mind can understand it all day long, but if you don't know how to integrate it, that's where the struggle is. So that's a lot of why I got into, like, so I'm a somatic mind body healer. I'm a quantum hypnosis. So I work specifically with the subconscious, and then I do all the quantum healing. And so I can bring all three of those together for a total transformation experience for my clients, where it's not just like, here, we'll do a couple one-off energy sessions, which helps immediately. But the pattern will come back. It will, because you haven't changed the root. Yeah.
Now, when you're removing some of these things, is that where the sacred geometry comes in? Are you replacing? Are you bringing in sacred geometry into those spaces?
Not in Light Body. With that, we do an integrated light therapy at the end of it. So we do fill in what was removed with divine light. But when I do DNA activations, I absolutely use sacred geometry. In fact, one of the sequences I use is Metatron's cube. And so I don't know how much you know about it, but Metatron cube is all things, right? It's all the platonic solids in one. So, the flower of life, it's all in the Metatron's cube. And then the, I'm trying to think if my brain's turning up the Fibonacci sequence. So the Fibonacci sequence is also a sacred geometry, and that's why all nature has, flower petals aren't on top of each other; they spread out, right? Because everything is the Fibonacci sequence, and so these are all different. Sorry, my guides are like laughing.
That's okay.
They like to come in every once in a while.
You do a lot of things, and it's funny that you said, like, you're a conspiracy, you were always like, you would say you were a conspiracy theorist. And I would hear some things, this is many years ago, and I would be like, that's just too crazy. That's just like too crazy. But now I think I've become a conspiracy theorist because when I'm watching what is happening in front of my eyes, and I'm seeing like on that one side of the spectrum, and then I'm seeing the amazing people that are rising above doing healings and doing energetic work and doing channeling and doing telepathy and what they're doing with water consciousness now, which is God consciousness. I'm like, okay. Like we are just being like blown open, and it's just wild to me.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you said that because I was just telling one of my clients, I was like, I can watch the news and I'm like, yeah, that's all lies. Like it's just all lies.
Yeah,
You could just,
yeah.
But a guy comes and says that he got kidnapped by Gerald the dolphin. I'm like, I believe him.
I would have said 10 years ago, yeah, sure. But now I can't say that did not happen because
I know,
supposedly dolphins are not from planet Earth. They're alien life from another dimension, and they're here to help us. And why couldn't they create a bubble of air? I mean, they have to come up to breathe air so that somebody could be breathing under. I mean, I you know what? Who knows? Now who knows?
Yeah.
I met somebody who channels
he
channels the praying mantis. He is and I didn't even know that was a thing. Didn't even know, so it's wild. Yeah.
Well, when I do J-seal removals, I also remove unnatural tags and implants. So as your soul travels through different dimensions, realities, you pick up different tags. And one of the big ones that I remove is dolphin tags. So we already know that they have had direct connection to us on a spiritual plane. But also I remote view. So when I remote view, I've remote viewed Atlantis a lot, and they were very, very active and communicated with us in Atlantis. So it's not too far off. That's why I was like, I kind of believe it because as you was, and the guy was an aero engineer.
Yeah.
Like this is not just some like quack who, just, I got kidnapped by dolphins. I mean, this guy has a pretty, I mean, I don't know how.
Well, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder people who are diagnosed schizophrenic, who are having conversations or seeing things maybe they really are, and
they are.
And
so I actually work with people on schizophrenia, and I'm so glad you brought that up because I think that's something that I wish more people. Like mental health is nothing to play with. If you're seeing therapy, taking meds,
of course.
But I've worked. I have a family member that's schizophrenic, and we were not close young, but she got into a better place in life. And so I started asking her questions about it. And I was like, and I'm already channeling at this point. And, so I was like, so what do they say? And she's always like, it was just really dark things. And I'm like, is it always the same voice or is it like different voices? And she's like, it's different voices. So I know we have what's called a receiver cell crystal on the right side. So this is where we translate channeling. So a lot of people are like, well, why don't we channel in other languages or anything else? Because you have a receiver crystal here that translates so you can hear in your own voice. So a lot of people think they have an internal monologue, but you're actually channeling higher. That's why we go like, why did I think that? That was weird, right? Because you didn't think it, you channeled it. But with her, she was hearing different voices. So I was like, that's interesting because that tells me it's a darker energy because they can change their voice. This is an angelic frequency or antenna. So I started working with her I was like, let's, we'll keep the meds or whatever, but let's start like looking at the self-worth issues. Let's look at the trauma points. Let's look at the reasons why you got to that point or that stage of your life in the first place, cycles, all that stuff. And slowly but surely, she started channeling angelic realms.
Wow.
She wasn't crazy. She was in low vibration. And we tell people that are schizophrenic, there's something wrong with them. And we don't take a time to work with them that, hey, this could be what's going on. I mean, there's ways we could be doing it in a safe way. And like, she's off her meds now and she channels angelic frequency. She actually draws them now.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that there's a lot to be learned in the mental health field when it comes to the ascension. A lot of people too.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I mean, I don't know if you've listened to the telepathy tapes, but I was blown away by them because I have a nephew who is he's verbal, he can't speak, but he is on the spectrum. And I started listening to them about how they speak telepathically. And I was
mhm.
just like, and it makes so much sense to me,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's why there's such a high uptick in autism, because they're here
mhm.
to teach us telepathy.
They're here to help raise the vibration of
Yeah.
right, because that's where they're saying we're going. We're going to become more telepathic. And so
Yep.
then all of the darkness has to come to light so we can heal it, we can clean it, we can clear it
Yep.
out. Because if we are walking around all being able to be telepathic, you can't lie, you can't do all that
Yeah.
stuff anymore, right? Because
Right.
we can read your mind. And so it's so fascinating. So I'm gathering from what you're telling me that when a client comes to see you, you have a long-term working relationship with somebody
Oh
because you
yeah.
do a lot of different practices depending on what they need. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I very seldomly will just do like a single session with someone, because there's so many layers. And,
Hmm.
once somebody understands you, and my talent, I think, is I studied, well, first, when I go back to my near death experience, when I came back, I understood physics like I had studied it. Like,
Oh,
I,
wow.
I think I flunked science in school because I
Yeah.
was not indoctrinatable,
Right.
but I understood quantum field theory like I had studied it, because something in that DNA activation, I realized like
Yeah.
spiritualism and science are not separate. I mean, they've just sold it to us in a way that we don't put these two things together.
Right.
A great example of this is in 2022, the Nobel Prize for Physics was for the people that proved quantum entanglement. And the
Hmm.
second that came out, I said to my mom, and I said it to a bunch of people, I was like, "Oh, look, science just proved twin flames and soulmates exist." And my
Hmm.
mom's like, "Well, that's a leap. I don't know how you got to that." And I was like, "Well, quantum entanglement, two
Right.
photons that, I'm like, that
Right.
we're photons, right?
Right.
Bound by time and space." I'm like, it's just, so to me, it just was like, it just made sense. And then the next year is when they took the photograph of two quantum entangled photons. And have you seen that photograph?
Mm-mm. But I will
Okay,
look it
so
up.
look it up. It is the yin yang symbol.
Oh,
So
no way. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
so yeah, it's the science. It's always been there. And that's why I say, I'm
Yeah.
like, we've been manipulated in the histories. We were
Yeah.
advanced civilizations. They try
Yeah.
to act like we're tools and stone masons, and
Mhm.
that was, no, there was so much more technology. Even the Baghdad battery. There's scientists that are showing that you can use chemical reactions to create electricity, and chemicals that they had at that time. So it's just crazy that they're still trying to push this narrative that, like, they're
Yeah.
sticks and tools, and that's just
Well,
not
it's a
that's not
lot
the case.
easier to control people when yeah, right. When
Yeah,
you put a lot of fear in things and you make
inflated their
you
ego that we're the best.
yeah, and you make people who are thinking in a different way, like the outcasts, and they're the weird ones, and locking people up in
Yep.
institutions and all that kind of stuff. Well, I do know that astrology and astronomy were hand in hand for a while,
Yep.
and then somewhere along the line they got separated, and people will say, "Well, I don't believe in astrology," and I'm thinking, "Well, then you don't believe in astronomy?" Like, oh, okay,
Ev- every
so.
every billionaire has an astrologer on staff. Every
Oh,
billionaire. I
I'm
tell
sure
people that.
they
I'm
do.
like,
I
they
am
do.
100% sure they do. Exactly.
This is a fun history. You guys can all go look up. So Nikola Tesla was actually commissioned by J.P. Morgan to build him a watch that showed his transits in real time, because
Oh,
they knew
no
that you could.
way.
Yeah, but if you go try to find a watch like that, it doesn't exist.
That
But if you
makes
go
sense.
look into history, it did exist. So why don't we have that? Right? Because they don't want us to know. And it's even with astrology, like your sun sign, people go into their horoscope. Your sun sign is your core identity, but that's not how you relate to yourself. So you're
Right.
more of your moon sign, because that's your emotional world, right?
Yep.
But they give you the sun sign because you're like, yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
so nobody believes it. That's why they also put it in the comic section of the Sunday paper, because they want you to think that there's nothing to it. But when you start to really dive into the intricacies of your natal chart, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
what's and what I tell people, I'm like, they're like, when people try to ask me how that works, I'm like, so when you signed your soul contract, you wait for everything that you're supposed to have in that soul contract is going to be affected by the planetary, and you wait. It's kind of like your get on your train time, right? You're
Yeah.
waiting for your
Yeah.
train, because this is the support that you're going to have for this soul contract. And then boom, you jump in.
Yeah.
And so everything is supporting you in that chart.
Yeah, it's your soul's
transition.
blueprint. You're coming in with your soul's blueprint, which is, and I love, learning so much, about countries have their own astrological charts.
Yep.
Cities, states, like it's just amazing. And when you understand and when you start to understand what the transits mean and you see it, it is absolutely fascinating about what happened in history, and they go back. It just blows my mind. So I am so like loving learning about all of this right now. But okay, so for people who want to just get a taste of this, you have written a few books. So why don't you share with us? Yeah, why don't you show us your books, because people can kind of get to know a little bit more about what you're talking about if they want to read your book and then decide, is this a place that I'm ready to go to? Because I imagine you have to be ready for this kind of work too.
You always have to be ready, or called for sure.
Yeah.
So I have two. So this was actually I have three, but these are the two newest ones. But this is Light and Breezy, Healing Frequencies Made Easy. So I wrote this because I am a big advocate into frequency machines, Rife machines. This is a Schumann, but you can program it to different frequencies. And a lot of my family has these. And so I was getting phone calls, especially my mother. What should I have my thing set to today? Oh, I have a headache. What should I have it set to? So I wrote this book. I broke it down by symptom.
Love it.
Whatever the symptom is. Because most of these are broken down by frequency, and it's just hard to read. It's just not very easy. So let's say, okay, so we've got worry, overthinking. So I have what's the emotional root cause of that. So what that is, what emotion you're causing to have that physical ailment in your body. And then also the affirmation you can speak, and then the frequency to help heal it. Also the element that it's associated with, and the chakra that it's connected to.
Love that.
It also explains your energy system very, very well in the front. I've made it very simple. So this book I did to simplify. Like I said, my mother, I wrote this for her birthday. It was her birthday gift. But I wanted to make it easy as possible.
Yeah, you want to make it easy for everybody. I listen to frequency stuff off YouTube all the time. If I'm and I certain for whatever's going on, and I've noticed it definitely makes a difference.
It does. And then this one is a Mobius, so you don't hear it when it's on. So it's really nice. This also you can program it to like 4 hertz, for example, will help you fall asleep. It'll put you into the theta brainwave, so that it makes it easier to fall asleep. When I first started working with this, I put it to the test. I was like,
is that a product that you made? Is that from your or
you can get them? You can get them on my website. Yes.
Okay.
There's a link on my website. But when I first start, I am an affiliate with this company. I love this company. I could not say any more good things about them. They're easy to work with. They are so good. If like you break this, they send you a new one. They're amazing.
Okay.
But when I first got it, before I ended up being an affiliate with them, I was like, I'm going to test this out. Now, at the time, I had just got a 3-legged cat. He was found on the side of the road, locked in a crate. So he was already obviously had been through a lot in his life. Don't know what happened to his leg, but yeah. So he had just come into my life at that time. And then I have 2 daughters, one's 12 and one's 18. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to walk them. I know brainwaves because of hypnosis. So at 6 o'clock, I started walking down the brainwave. And I would set it at like 7.2 at 6 o'clock. And then like every 15 minutes, I would just walk it down a little bit. And for an entire week, they both went to bed before 8 o'clock. So I didn't tell them I was doing this.
My sister has kids, so she should check that out.
Seriously, I was blown away because my old, 17 years old. She was.
My niece is 16. She's up till 3 in the morning.
3 in the morning. Yep.
Yeah.
And 12-year-old too. She wants to stay up all night. Like because
well, show us your other book because I just got a thing. We only have 2 minutes, so people can.
And this one is Awakening from the Inside Out. Now this one is a comprehensive. Like I have everything in here you could possibly want to know about your energy systems, how to protect yourself, how to use your subtle field, how to eat properly to support energetic healing. You name it, it's in here. I kind of wrote this one because I felt like a little bit of everything collaborated into one. And I made it so that if you kind of are not sure what you want to do, you can kind of flip through it and let spirit guide you.
Let
So
spirit
boom,
guide you. Yeah, I
4
love
moon
that.
shaped, you know.
And now people can find this on your website, which is lightandbreezycoaching.com. And is it also
Yes.
available in other places, or is it only through your website?
It is on Amazon, but you
And
can
Amazon.
find the link on my website and it'll take you right to the pages for them. So,
Okay. And so tell people the best way to, you know, who want to work with you one-on-one, and anything you want to leave us with. We got a minute left.
yeah. So, almost everything that I do, I can do remotely. So I work with people all over the world. So, if you are feeling like you want to step up, or if you feel like you've gotten stagnant in your journey, you can reach out to me on my website, Light and Breezy Coaching. I do offer 20-minute free consultations, so we can kind of get an idea and a game plan of what would work best for your personal situation. But I guess the one thing I would want people to take away from all of this is that you are putting too much pressure on yourself. You are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You are not behind. You are not off your path. A lot of people come to me, they're like, I want to know my path. You're on it. You know,
That's
everything
great.
everything that's happening is destined divine timing. Like, you are exactly where you need to be. So just remember that. Yeah,
Thank
this is
you,
not about. Oh
Brheanna.
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, we got to roll out. So thank you
Yeah, no, good.
so much for listening to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa, creating the life you crave, and wishing everyone a wonderful week filled with joy, abundance, and love. Peace. Bye-bye.